Furthermore, Karen continued, undeterred by the stunned silence, I've researched the legal precedent for this situation. In the case of Henderson versus the Maple Tree of Doom, yes, that's the actual case name. The court ruled that property owners have the right to trim any vegetation that crosses their property line. Karen, Balt said slowly, Henderson versus the Maple Tree of Doom was a dispute between a homeowner and their own tree that was dropping sap on their car, and it was resolved by the homeowner moving their car to the garage. But Karen was already advancing to slide 18, which featured a dramatic artist's rendition of what her roses would look like free from arboreal oppression. She had somehow commissioned actual artwork for this presentation. Margaret stood up from the back of the room. This is insane. Karen, that tree was here when we both moved in. You've never complained about it before. What's really going on? Karen's perfectly composed facade cracked for just a moment, revealing something desperate underneath. What's going on is that some people have no respect for property rights, community standards, or the hard work others put into maintaining neighborhood excellence. Her voice rose to a pitch that made several attendees wince. I have spent 3 years cultivating the perfect rose garden, following every HOA guideline, every horticultural best practice, and I will not watch it be destroyed by your refusal to maintain proper tree boundaries. Balt Harris cleared his throat. The board will take this under consideration and... No. Karen slammed her hand on the podium. I want a decision tonight. I want that branch removed, or I want Margaret fined, or I want. She paused, breathing heavily, her carefully styled hair beginning to frizz from stress sweat. Karen, maybe you should sit down, suggested board member Linda Torres gently. Instead, Karen gathered her presentation materials with sharp, jerky movements. Fine. If this board won't protect property rights, I'll find someone who will. She packed her laptop with the efficiency of someone dismantling a bomb. Don't say I didn't warn you all when property values start plummeting, because we live in a neighborhood where trees think they own the place. As she stalked toward the exit, Karen turned back one final time. 24 hours, Margaret. After that, I'm taking action with or without board approval. The community center door slammed behind her with enough force to rattle the windows, leaving 23 residents, 5 board members, and one very confused custodian wondering what exactly they'd just witnessed. Margaret sank back into her folding chair, suddenly feeling very tired. She'd lived in Willowbrook Estates for 8 peaceful years, and in all that time, Karen had never been anything more than occasionally demanding about holiday decorations and garbage can placement. This level of intensity was something entirely new. What do you think she meant by taking action? Whispered Mrs. Henderson to her husband. Nobody had an answer, but as they filed out of the meeting, more than one resident made a mental note to keep their curtains closed and their security cameras charged. When Karen Whitmore declared war on a tree, there was no telling what collateral damage might follow. Outside in the parking lot, Karen sat in her pristine white SUV, gripping the steering wheel and breathing deeply through her nose. Tomorrow, she would show them all what happened when people refused to respect boundaries. Tomorrow, the neighborhood would learn that Karen Whitmore didn't make empty threats. She pulled out her phone and began scrolling through her contacts, looking for anyone who might have access to professional-grade tree removal equipment. If the system wouldn't protect her rights, she'd protect them herself. The ancient oak tree rustled gently in the evening breeze, completely unaware that it had just become the center of what would soon be known throughout Willowbrook Estates as the Tree War. Karen Whitmore stood on her perfectly manicured lawn at 6:47 a.m., wielding a measuring tape like a sword and screaming at her neighbor's 100-year-old oak tree. This branch is exactly 14 inches over the property line, Margaret. 14. She thrust the tape measure toward the ancient limb as if it were personally insulting her existence. Margaret Chen appeared on her porch in fuzzy slippers, coffee mug in hand, watching Karen scale a stepladder in full business attire to photograph the offending branch with the dedication of a crime scene investigator. Karen, it's not even 7 in the morning, Margaret called out wearily. Property violations don't keep bankers' hours. Karen shrieked back, nearly toppling off the ladder as she adjusted her phone's camera angle. The branch had been there longer than either of them had lived in Willowbrook Estates, but Karen had only noticed it 3 days ago when she'd hired a surveyor to precisely map every inch of her property boundaries. By 8:15 am, Karen had already fired off 17 emails to the HOA board, each with increasingly creative subject lines ranging from urgent, neighborhood catastrophe in progress, to legal action required, arboreal assault on property values. She'd included 43 photographs of the branch from every conceivable angle, including several macro shots of individual leaves that dared to cast shadows on her prize-winning roses. The second shocking moment came at 2:30 p.m. when Karen arrived at Margaret's front door with a team of 3 tree removal specialists, a notary public, and Officer Mike Rodriguez, who she'd somehow convinced to escort her for safety reasons during the property dispute resolution process. "Ma'am, I really don't think this requires police involvement," Officer Rodriguez said, shifting uncomfortably as Karen thrust a binder thick enough to stop bullets into his hands. "Officer, this is a clear case of botanical trespassing," Karen declared with the gravity of someone announcing a murder. "I have documented evidence of willful property encroachment, environmental damage to my hybrid tea roses, and what I can only describe as arboreal aggression." Margaret opened her front door to find this bizarre parade on her doorstep. "Karen, what on earth?" "Margaret Chen, I am serving you formal notice to remove the offending portion of your tree within 24 hours, or I will be forced to take matters into my own hands," Karen announced, producing official-looking papers from her designer briefcase. The tree removal team exchanged glances that clearly said they'd rather be anywhere else. "You can't just demand I cut down part of my tree," Margaret protested. "It's been here since before the neighborhood was even built." "I don't care if George Washington planted it personally," Karen snapped. "Property lines are property lines, and I will not tolerate this flagrant disregard for community standards." The third moment of pure chaos erupted at the emergency HOA meeting Karen had demanded for that very evening. She arrived with a PowerPoint presentation titled The Margaret Chen Tree Crisis, a threat to our community's future, complete with animated slides and dramatic zoom-ins on the offending branch. As you can see in slide 14, Karen clicked her laser pointer with military precision. "This branch creates a shadow that falls on my property for approximately 47 minutes each morning, directly impacting my roses' photosynthesis schedule." Board President Bob Harris rubbed his temples. "Karen, it's a tree branch. Trees have branches. Branches cast shadows. This is how nature works. Nature needs to follow HOA regulations like everyone else." Karen shot back, clicking to a slide showing a detailed chart of shadow trespass incidents by date and duration. "I've calculated that this branch has stolen approximately 847 minutes of sunlight from my roses this month alone. That's grand theft photosynthesis." The room fell silent except for the gentle hum of the projector. Even Mrs. Henderson, who usually supported Karen's various complaints about mailbox heights and holiday decoration timing, was staring at her with a mixture of concern and fascination.